auntie. As long as you have that pride and that respect for your bodily integrity, choice should really matter.
Right. We've been speaking with Dr. Amina Salihu. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll talk to the policy part of period poverty. Stay with us.
حينما حل البلاء جئت إليك ذليلا أناجي من لي غيرك ربي يسمع مني شكواي من يستجيب الدعاء إلا الذي قد دعانا إليه من لي غيرك ربي معقود فيه رجايا لا تعاملني بذنبي يا جواد يا كريم إنني عبد ضعيف حظه لا يستقيم لا تحرمني ربي من لطفك العميم فسقامي تعبتني يا ربي الرحيم قل له كن فيكون قل له كن فيكون قل له كن فيكون قل له كن فيكون.
Right, welcome back from the break. You're watching My Period Stories with me, Funke Treasure. And we've been talking about a critical issue surrounding periods all over the world, especially in a developing nation like Nigeria. We've been talking about period poverty. And we've been, as it were, opening up issues about period poverty that maybe you never thought of. And still with me in the studio is Dr. Amina Salihu, who's been explaining what period poverty is and how it affects all of us, not just women, how we see the implication, the effects of not paying attention to period poverty in the fact that women are dying. There's a lot of shaming, there's a lot of stigmatization, and not many women can afford sanitary pads. That's what it means when you talk of period poverty. Let's pivot back to Dr. Amina Salihu. I did say we were going to be talking about the policy part of period poverty, how we found it quite difficult to convince our legislators on the need for us to have a legislation to even look at out-of-school children, how we have more than 10 million girls out of school in Nigeria, why we cannot give sanitary pads to our girls in schools, in secondary schools, why the private sector cannot organize to make this all-important item available at least to our girls in schools so that we can mitigate the rates of out-of-school children, especially out-of-school girls in Nigeria. Let me come to you. I've already said too much. So I'll just let you react to some of the things I've said.
No, I mean, you said the state so well. You said the state so well. And you know, period poverty is just a microcosm of the way in which women are treated in the wider policy space. Someone once said to me that if it were men who were dying from childbirth, they would have found a solution a long time ago. But when you're treated as a second-class citizen in your own country, and you can tell from my background, I'm a very proud Nigerian. I love this country. But I also get exasperated sometimes when we miss the mark on even the simplest of things because we don't want to see what we ought to see. And so in dealing with period poverty, that's where we need to begin, first of all, that women matter. That without women, there can't be, you know, we say it all the time, but we need to go beyond that flippancy of saying, no woman, no nation. We know that. The question is, prove it. There are different ways in which you can prove it. One is in terms of the respect you even have for women's participation in policy and political spaces. Because when something affects you and you're there to explain your side of the story and you're able to say, this is what works for me, then chances are that things will begin to change. So it begins with the way in which women's personhood and women's, role is actually perceived as half the story to develop this country. That matters. The second thing that policy needs to pay attention to is that it's not just about gender justice. It's about smart economics, because you cannot, play with even the needs and the rights of half of your population, because almost, look, by 2030, we're going to have a population explosion in this country of young people. And by 2050, we're going to have, we'll probably be over 400 million citizens, and half of those will be young people. So you see what that means in terms of young people of a certain sex, or the female sex. It means that we're going to have even much more need to have much more serious investment in safe spaces, in water and sanitation, in awareness around what are the needs of women, so that you can create a nation that is safe, a country that can be developed. So we need to start making that investment now, because it is smart economics, not even just about gender justice. We need to pay attention to that. And infrastructure is a big part of that, because if you take care of infrastructure, you'll be taking care of a larger part of menstrual poverty.
Comic Republic is a Nigerian startup where we tell African stories. We push the African narrative forward through a traditional art form that is popular all around the world, which is comic books.
We kind of write stories that everybody can find a bit of themselves somewhere in there. You know, when you read our books, you will always be able to find one book that you are able to connect with, even if you are not an African. It's not just for Africans alone, but it's the African narrative. That's really what we do.
We take the process of telling our stories, making our comic books engaging. We do it professionally and we take it as a business. We're growing bigger every day.
We try to make sure that all of our comics, all of our content has a positive message underlying them, even apart from all the action, all the punching, and all the superheroics.
Right now we have close to 48,000 downloads per comic book. We get between 5,000 to 7,000 unique visitors every week. Nigerians have been really excited to see people in Nigeria creating heroes from Nigerians, telling Nigerians that we can be everything we need to be if we only try. The comic business actually has a wide range.
One of the major things that actually helps us to move forward here is the fact that we are more than just a team, we are a family. And family is everything. We understand ourselves, we know what we're meant to do when we're meant to do them, and we get them done.
The first and foremost vision for Comic Republic is to take control of the African narrative. Who are the biggest superheroes you know today? You're looking at Spider-Man, Captain America, and Superman. If you look at the colors of their uniform, they're all the colors of the American flag. If you look at where those people come from, they come from America. This is a way that a country has, from generation to generation, programmed their people to believe that they are strong and they are efficient. We want to do the same with Comic Republic. That's what we want to do at Comic Republic. That's our vision. And until we're number one at that in the world, we're not going to stop.
For a lot of people, the Nigerian dream is to leave the country onto greener pastures. But the irony is the treacherous experiences they have to face to get to these so-called greener pastures. Just like the stories of Azu and many who were tricked into what they thought was a better life, in fact, turns out to be the worst experience they never dreamt of.
Before I left Nigeria, I was doing a business. I was selling food with my mom in a particular oil company, and also I was a teacher. So I was doing the two together, assisting mom in the shop and also teaching in a school. So once school closes, in the morning before leaving, I help her with cooking, putting things together, buying the drinks, arranging everywhere. Then I go to work, and then when I come back, I continue. But before then, I was in school. Was supposed to graduate. I studied architecture in Enugu State University of Science and Technology. So in my finals, that was 2014, I found out that I had a lot of issues. It actually started when I got into school. I got into school 2010. It was 29-10 set. So when we got into school fee was increased from 72,000 to 102. So from that 102, it was very difficult for me to get my school fee the way I was supposed to get it. Like, the first school fee was easy, but then subsequently, it became really hard for my dad to put it together. So I paid my fees late. Now, ESUT had this policy that if you pay your school fee, you get exam number. So almost all my exams from the second year till final year was written without exam number. So during the time they were publishing, because what they do is in the final exams, they will write out all your outstanding results. You look for them, either go to the lecturers and look for them, and then at the end of the day, the ones you can't find, you will write. So I saw about 29. I started moving around, going to lecturers. It was as if they would say signing in and out, no recording. Signing in and out, no recording. So the whole thing got so complicated. It was just something I couldn't take. Well, I wasn't patient enough to go to as many lecturers as I could, but getting from my HOD, the head of department as at then, he just told me, this is the much we can do searching for all of this, because even his own course then, he was taking construction methods, even his own course then was not recorded. So he just told me, if my own course is not recorded, it means every other one you've written wasn't also recorded. So I assumed that was it. Getting home that day, I cried a lot. I called home. I told my dad. He was like, be patient. Just try and see if you can look for them. I just quietly packed my bags. Without deferring the admission, without doing anything, I just packed my bags and I left. After everything, then I've started this teaching, and then I joined Mom. I met someone who was really interested in me, and he told me he wants to get married. I just felt like, okay, you can handle this, you can get married and all of that. So in the long run, I got pregnant, and I think that was what ended the relationship, because he insisted get rid of the pregnancy. I was pretty sick. I was very sick, so I think he couldn't handle the stress and all of that. He said, get rid of the pregnancy. In my family, you don't do that. And that was my very first pregnancy, so everyone was like, you were not there. I gave birth to this baby. So 4 months down the line, that was 2017, I gave birth 2017 March. 4 months down the line, family got a call that the people abroad will need 4 people. So they are like extended family relations. They are not really very close to us. I don't even know them. Like, I've never met them, but some of my cousins have. So those ones that have are the ones that were contacted. And then I didn't even have an idea, because my baby was just very tender about 4 months after, you know, so they started talking about it. I was hearing Mom on calls constantly. They were talking about they need someone, or she should see if I can agree. My younger sister was still in school. She was in her, I think, in her 2nd year or so. So since I was the only one who is out of school, they can't talk to my younger brother about that, because he also is in school. So since I was the only one who was out of school, every eye was on me, despite the fact that I just had a baby. So my mom talked to me. I said no. And then the idea was, my baby is still tender. I can't travel with my baby and walk. So she said, my mom is very young. So she said she will take care of the baby for me to travel. Mom said, this is more like an opportunity for you to do everything you want to do. You want to go to school, you can work there, go to school and do everything. So that was everyone's idea, except my dad, my younger sister, and I. No one talked to my younger brother about it, because he was not around. He was in Auchi then. So I think we were standing alone. All my aunties were with my mom. So one of them invited me over. That night, she sat me down, you know, you're working really hard, you go to farm, because when I gave birth to my baby, I was now trying very hard to see that there's no lapses in the family. We all hands on deck, kind of. Let everyone work hard to make sure that everything is going on well. So you work really hard. So for me, this is like an opportunity. And then she had her son that just left to Ghana. I don't know what was going on with the guy as at then. So I didn't really ask if he was doing well. But for me, everyone believes he's doing well. So these opportunities too, for me, you have to. So when she explained everything, told me, you need to really try this out, because this is like an option that will help you to stop the suffering. You're going to farm, you're doing a lot of things. Just try this option. That night was the night I now decided, okay, since everyone is saying they will take care of my son, I'll go. They told us France, the 3 of us, 3 ladies, and then the guy, Italy. They are my cousins as well. So 2 ladies plus me, that's 3. Then the guy, because they said 3 ladies and a guy. Then the guy was to stop at Italy. It's not like the guy is joining us to France. So that was it. We left. Okay, there was no plan, no process. That's the truth. There was no process. They just told me, pack your bags, meet us in Benin. So I packed my bags. And then while packing your bags, make sure you have like 2-3 trousers. Make sure you have like a sweater, a thick one, because it's really cold over there in Europe. Make sure you have they just told us a few things that they felt was necessary that we should have with us. So those were the things I put together, and then I got myself a backpack. I made sure I bought enough food for my son, someone I initially planned I was going to do exclusive breastfeeding for. I had to cut short at 4 months just to join them. So we got to Benin, spent about 2 days there preparing. No serious preparation, they were just like, so it was just like we got to Kano, we passed a night in Kano. But before Kano was when I started young people's, and we don't have anything. He all of us to pay 2,000. So long dress, is it Jalamia they call it, something like that. That was what she was putting on, and then she was just saying a lot of things. Not be travel, they travel, not be travel, they travel, and not commit any crime. Or now, you know, she was saying a lot of things, and she wasn't even using any polite language, like you're talking to officers. I beg you, make nobody disturb her. Now travel, she they travel, you know, Benin accent. So I was like, travel, they travel. Is it like we are going to the same direction or something? So I started suspecting, as at then, that I don't really know what these guys are talking about, but at the end of the day, the guy paid. He paid for all of us, and the 4 of us, 8,000, and then we left. So they took 2,000 from each person, and then they allowed us to leave. We moved on till we got to Abuja. We passed the night there. There was no response. Nobody brought documents. They said the documents. The person said we should keep coming when we get to Kano. We'll get it. So we got to Kano actually. Someone came to pick us. The guy that came to pick us was driving with one hand. He doesn't have one hand. I was scared. Like, but before he started driving, as soon as he just said, quick, 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 enter. Every one of us jumped inside the car. The next thing he started giving us this stuff. Is it hijab? Yeah, that jab for everyone. So I didn't know how to wear it. So everybody was like, okay. So it was funny, kind of. I was like, is this like what they do in the north? Is it compulsory? Had to. So we moved on till we got somewhere. It was kind of bushy environment. The guy stopped. They brought another car. Well, bike came, bike car. I don't know what was going on, but in fact, these things that we see in movies, the guys were with me, but I was still not comfortable to tell you how rough those guys were. So we got to another place. Then I saw a lot of Nigeria, own idea about where they are going to. And then I met this lady. She wasn't looking very okay, but she said the person who asked her to come is her sister, and that's because I think she's educated, but she has this health issues. That the person said as soon as she gets to Italy, they will come pick her up and then she will get her treatments. So people had different reasons why they were traveling. The ones I met there, actually, everyone had different reasons, some for medical attention, some for money, some who were promised jobs. So I felt kind of, I felt unhappy at first. And then I was saying some things, and then one guy came to me and said, see, if you talk too much, most of these people that are around here, they will lock you up here and then everybody will go, you will not go because you're asking a lot of questions. So that calmed me kind of. I had to like stop asking questions. After a while, they came, took passports, as in passport photograph of everyone. And then it was that guy, that guy's idea of not talking that made me not to ask anything. Few hours later, they came with passports. The passport that got to me had my picture, not my name, and every other detail on it wasn't me. So when they gave me the passport, okay, I had to memorize everything on the passport. Like, you are compelled to, you don't have a choice because that's like your gateway to wherever you're supposed to go to. So we took these things. Few minutes later, the bike guys came back. They took all of us again. You know the bike the person you entered with before, just enter with the person and then we moved on. So we continued till we got to the border between, I don't know if it's Niger and Nigeria though. So the immigration officers there, they'll take your passport, ask you, what's your name? You tell them your name. How old are you? You tell them. They just check. They give it back to you. So it wasn't like they were doing any critical check. that's, as I said, my name. And then I skipped a part where I had to teach one of my sisters because she is not learned. She got married when she was in primary 6, so she didn't go to school, and she has been in the village all her life. So I had to like teach her her name, the name on the distance. So I was helping her memorize her own name as well as memorizing mine. So it was something very silly that, of course, if I had a clue about irregular migration or human trafficking, I would have at least known that I was getting into something stupid, something that wouldn't be good for me. And then we left. The bike guys took us to a certain place where they had buses. They put a lot of us in one bus. I had to sit in the booth. So in that booth, it was raining that evening. It was, let's say, around 8 before the bus left. So it was raining. The raindrop was on my body. Despite the fact I didn't have enough clothes on, I was cold. I was shivering. And it's not like when you're shivering, somebody else would help you because everyone is actually trying to save themselves. So no one is actually looking out for you. So you have to do something to help yourself. So I had to like draw. There is something they used to cover the bus. I had to like draw that thing to cover myself. So we moved on. After a while, I think they heard police. The next thing, the drivers drove to a certain place, parked the car, zoomed off. We didn't know where they went to. After a while, other cars came. If they call your connection, you join another vehicle. If they call your connection, you join another vehicle. Just like that, they just shared us into different groups. We left. Spent about a day plus on the road. So we got to Agadez. Now, when we got to Agadez, someone just told us that this is Agadez. Oh. I say, yeah, Agadez. I met some people, and then the first room where they took us to everywhere was filled with flies. I couldn't take it, so I was like, oh God, what is this? Those girls there, they started laughing. They were laughing. I was like, how are you guys comfortable in this kind of environment? They said, you never see anything, you know. They stood up, left the room, came back, they were still laughing. I was like, no. So my sisters told me that you should just try and keep quiet and just observe rather than say your feelings. It's as if you're just showing them who you are. I just kept quiet. I was not enduring the whole thing. They fly everywhere. I sat in a corner. I was just reflecting over the journey from Nigeria to that point. A few days, about 4 days later. So that should be like, okay, that's like 4 to 5 days now to get to that place, because it was from Benin to Kano itself was a day till the next morning. So from that Kano to that Agadez in Niger was about, okay, let's just say 3 days. Okay, so from that point to that night, they didn't actually move us. We're still there till about 4 days. And then on the 4th day, they came, they told us, okay, to get ready. Everybody get ready, you'll be leaving this night. People were excited. Me, I wasn't really excited because I didn't really understand we are leaving. Like, we are leaving to where? So my bros was like, they said we are going to buy gallon. Buy gallon? We don't have money. We didn't even, they gave us just 10,000 naira when we were leaving each. So we don't have money. How much is the gallon? He said they are selling in Sefa. It's not naira, so because we are not in Nigeria. So I said, okay, find out how much it is. At the end of the day, what we had left with us was unable to buy us the gallon because we were buying small ones, big ones, small ones for each person. So at the end of the day, we sold the only phone that was with us. And the phone was not in our possession. It wasn't in my possession or in the girl's possession. It was only the guy that was authorized to use the phone to update them. So it was more like they were working with the guy. These people carrying us were working with the guy. I've never met the guy before. He's not really my cousin. He's married to one of our cousins, so I don't even know him. Now, it's more like they've already had this whole thing planned out before calling on us to come and join the guy. So the guy said he's going to sell the phone. When we get to Libya, he will get another phone. Me, I wasn't worried initially. Just get us water, since they said everybody would need water. We didn't bother to ask, what do we need the water for? Since they said buy, just buy. He bought the gallon, they filled it with water, so we had to carry it to the place where they were loading that night. So in the night, they started loading. I noticed each Hilux was carrying about 29 people. For my Hilux, they had about 29 people. So now the guys, the ladies will sit in, the guys will sit around the Hilux. So they have this wood that the guys will use to sit. And then they were arranging it like that till it got to our own turn. Now for the girls, you sit, you open your legs, someone else sits, just like that. That was the arrangement. Then for me, I had to sit around the, what's it called, where you can rest your back. But I was sitting on a keg of fuel. That's another story. I was sitting on a keg of fuel. So for me, I felt that was a comfortable place, right? I put my bag on the keg of fuel, and then I sat on it. So I was feeling like that's more comfortable. I was even saying the other people sitting inside the Hilux will be feeling hot and they will be having a lot of challenges, so I don't want to stay there. I prefer where I was. Now, within one day from that place, because all the Hilux moved at the same time, like all the vehicles moved at once, they started going. It was as if the more we went in, if they drive from one, would I even say up to a pole, the vehicle will sink. All the guys will come down. The lighter ladies will stay inside. If you're heavy, you come down. The guys will have to remove the sand. The Hilux will move to the front. We'll jump in again. The Hilux will move. Get just one pole again. This thing continued for the whole day. It was tiring. And to worsen it, they were beating the guys. Like, when it's time to pack this sand, if they don't see your hand doing it, the drivers have this whip, this pipe that you use to to put fuel in their vehicle was what they were using to whip the guys. Like, at some point I started crying because there was this guy that looked really soft. I don't think he's from Edo State. I can't remember where he's from. But at some point he broke down, like, he was like, which kind of suffer be this? Which kind of suffer be this? Now travel, they travel, I no keep person, you know. They were beating them in such a way that ordinarily it was heartbreaking. That after that whole day, in the night, they packed us somewhere. And then I met someone from my place, from another Hilux. The guy started telling me stories, we were just gisting. And then it was more like a few hours, let's say it was getting to like midnight. This kind of breeze just started blowing towards us and then bringing sand. It was then it dawned on me that most of the sand heaping was actually done by that breeze. It was like rain. So very scary. I just told the guy, is this thing going to bury us? He smiled and said, if you bury us now, it's just like we are trying to make it in life and then we did not survive. I was like, God, don't allow me to die here. That was the first fear. So the guy said, just lie down and use something to cover yourself. If you cover yourself, probably you'll sleep off. Because I didn't see sleep. Most people were already sleeping, but I could not imagine myself sleeping in that kind of environment. I didn't know there was more waiting for us ahead. So after that night, the next morning, the drivers came. I took my brush. I want to brush my teeth. They said, wait, I want to brush. One guy said, with which water? This water that we are reserving, we want to drink. I said, I'm not going to brush. The guy said, even buy brush. They were laughing, you know. Some kind of weird behavior from some of the guys and the ladies. They were laughing. I better go reserve the water. I said, hey, God, so I'm not going to brush my mouth. I can't even wash my face. The guy said, you don't even brush, you wash face, you know. They were just saying a lot of things. And then the driver didn't even wait for anyone to brush, so we had to jump in. That was the first heartbreak for me. Like, okay, now I'm going to just be smelling and dirty till we get to our destination, and who knows how long this journey is.
Hello there, my name is Akim Adebayo, and here is my good old days story. Once upon a time, this barrack boy had the rare privilege of attending military schools both at the primary and secondary school levels, where paramilitary activities were combined with quality education at next to no cost. I was that young boy who grew up in a nation bound by love, peace, and serendipity, a country where all that was of paramount interest to us as kids was to walk to school, attend assembly, sing in chorus to the national anthem, and pledging to our great country Nigeria to be faithful, loyal, and honest. Growing up in the midst of people of different tribes, religion, and educational background, we had a thing in common. We were all bonded by the calmness, yet disciplined military atmosphere. Those were the days when we make promises to our parents and we strive to fulfill those promises. In my case, I routinely made a promise and vowed to come first in my class at the end of each term, a promise I could fulfill only once. But the commitment to attain that vow was always an inspiration. Mere thought of calling my name and inviting me out for presentation of gifts before my classmates during prize giving day was a continuous driving force for me to always want to be at my best. Those were the good virtuous days when there were healthy rivalries, unjaundiced academic competition amongst students. How can I forget the numerous handwritten letters and postcards to friends and family? A visit to and fro the post office was always memorable, as you were excited with the suspense of getting a letter from the post office box and ahead of time. Hazard guesses on where, who the sender could have been. Oh, I remember with nostalgia our mail box, P.O. Box 219 Ipaja Post Office. That was the magic number. Can you recall yours? I wonder if that medium is still as potent as they were then, not with the advent of social media and smartphones. I equally recall those days when the sound of my dad's Peugeot 504 saloon car was a timely warning for comportment, a time to be well behaved and show your homeworks one after the other. It was a time to watch the famous NTA Channel 7 Tejo Show News and summarize the content of the day's newspaper to the man of the house, my father. Those were the days children are very current on happenings in our country, I ask. I recall those days, those good days when holidays were times to bond with cousins and uncles, when it was as much fun to go to a cousin in the village and it was for another cousin to pay us a visit and spend the holiday with us in the city. Life then was modest and humble. Such moments to behold were those when my grannies would call me only by my native pet name, and this was always followed by a rendition of the family's panegyrics, known as Oriki in Yoruba. It was always an emotional trigger. The call of Ajani was all I always desired to hear, and would be eager to run errands without getting tired. What a time. How I dream in wishes that few of these moments be brought back and a slice of it granted to the current generation to taste. How can we change the narratives by working towards providing a greater future for the upcoming generation? Instead of reveling on the glorious past, we can do it. Ajani desires a brighter future laced with the solid foundation of the glorious past. Today, I equally identify with Sir Shamore Badijo in his desire to bring back all that is good about our past, with a view to redirecting our paths towards a greater future, not only for us, but the upcoming generation. I remain
good. She gave the defendant 2 seconds.